What's going on, everybody? Ian Walsh here, Hard Money Bankers, joined my partner Ryan Walsh, Hard Money Bankers. What's happening on Friday, Ryan?
It's really nice weather out right now, so I'm enjoying that
really
a
nice
lot.
out. It is nice. I don't think whales trade the market when it's nice out.
It's too nice.
It's too much like summer. Make a quick one-day trip up to the Hamptons, and that's where you go. So what we've been doing here is we've been following the markets for the past about a month, and because there were some anomalies on the charts that, and also fundamental news that has lined up that would signify a concerning time in the markets. We called it a storm moving, and we've been tracking kind of the battle lines between the buyers and the sellers, and we'll put up the charts in just a moment to show that and where we are today. So I don't have any major news, Rye, that we haven't talked about, other than nobody can fly a plane right now. No.
Are you talking about like the Southwest?
Yeah. They're doing like the walkout.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I'd say, obviously we've been following the news closely because of the show we got going on here, but nothing different than what we've said. So nothing new, nothing significant, at least that I saw that came up in the last 24 hours.
Right. So here's what I would go with. So everything has been signaling bear until yesterday, which makes sense for earnings, or 2 days ago. Yesterday. I'm losing track. Was that Wednesday or Thursday earnings?
I don't know.
FOMC was Wednesday, right?
Oh, the FOMC was Wednesday, yeah.
So my chart here is going to be a little bit hectic. So this is the Dow daily chart that we've been tracking. We've been calling this yellow lines here the Bermuda Triangle. And the backside of this trend line is the kiss of death. This is what we originally started with, which was up here. It kind of put the kiss of death where it was going to put a down pivot in, or threatened to put a down pivot in to make this do a bear market. Then the triangle form, which is kind of a battlefield for the buyers and the sellers. And this triangle had two significant areas, one being right here for the sellers and one being right here for the buyers. So if you were to get a close above this line, that's a pretty significant situation for the for bulls, meaning they believe they've won the war. If you had a close under this line, the bears mean they won the war. Down here is this trend line that is really significant because it's the only outstanding trend line that we really haven't explored since COVID, basically. And under that is just a free fall. So it looked like we were approaching that. Well, everything went up and down. We had the Evergrande situation that's still on the table. Then we had the debt ceiling that nobody kind of cared about as it kissed the line here. And then we had earnings, which is typically what really can influence a market if you're a bull. So the bulls are shooting everything they've got right now at this line. And it looks like, we've got back-to-back gap ups, essentially from the real-time hours, 9:30 to 4 o'clock, which is Wall Street's, Eastern time. And so we also have had two triangles that are, so I would say at this point, Rye, our yellow triangle is broken. I would call that broken. This is a real breakout.
Yeah, it's the first time, didn't fall back into the drawings that you had with the lines, right?
Yeah. So now as a bull, you look at this and go, okay. And then there was another triangle you could have made an argument for, this purple one, but that's pretty threatened right now too, from a bear standpoint. So this starts to look like, if you're a bull, you go, hey, we have a double bottom or a W forming here. And then the next natural move for that is if this were to close over this line, which is a big deal. This is like a big deal, because the next thing all you have to do after that is get to the highs and close over the highs, and you're feeling pretty good, that the world's not going to end. Typically what you see here is like a pullback and then a move. So you kind of get that to complete like a W. So it breaks this. A lot of money did probably come in here this morning. And then that would happen. Now, if this were to not make a close over this and go straight back down, you get yourself into, everybody goes, oh, it was a double top. And so the double top would look like, would be right here. So, but right now, everything on the table, you go, okay, this looks like the bulls are in control. So, it doesn't set up as nice as the Illuminati Mark Weiser October 18th and October 24th scenario, because it was really lining up nicely, but it still doesn't put us in a position. I still don't see in the background how this. So I guess my thought would be this. Of course, when you're trading or you're investing, you play what's on the charts, regardless of what you think. I still want to know how we're going to handle Evergrande supply chain issues. Like, that didn't dissolve during this process here, right? Like, it's still there. So what do you make of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a sports game, right? Come into the third quarter, it looks like the Bull team is winning, right? Like they got a lead right now. They're controlling the game.
Was this like Falcons Patriots?
Well, I guess potentially if you think of the Patriots as the Bull or the Bear here, right?
Right.
But I don't even like I wouldn't say it's even that much of a lead, right? It's just right now it looks like the Bull are going to break out of it. Meaning the storm that we've been talking about is looking like it's not going to hit land. That's what we're currently observing. But as you said, we're not out of the woods yet, right? I mean, we're still going to do this show probably at least until the end of the month here.
Yeah.
If we go into November here and it's kind of trickling back to how it was, all time high, that kind of thing, then I think we might have dodged the bullet. But until these moves have completed, you can't, until the time's up, right? Until that clock hits zero, the game's still on. So,
it only takes. I mean, because you could get a day like this. If you look at the charts and you get a couple of those in a row,
the game's right back on.
Yeah, like that's like recovered the onside kick, scored a touchdown.
Right.
Because so put that particular bar right here. I just copy and pasted it. That would cover both gaps in the entire move up. So 2 of those days and you're right back at it. So the question though becomes, but you could also do the same. I could say the same thing going to the highs. So you could go like this. We're 1 bar away from new all-time highs, right? So I still need though resolution to the background, the fundamentals. Like I still need to understand why gas is still going up and the supply chain issues. Like I don't need to understand why. The why is never really going to be, but those are still topics that are significant in the grand scheme of things. Like it's not like that debt ceiling is that significant because we've upped it 73 times and it's going to be up the 74th time, right? Like that I wouldn't even be paying attention to the charts with that on the table. What I am trying to wonder about though is, the 121st, 22nd, and 23rd biggest companies in the world are defaulting and with supply chain issues. So I'm just trying to figure out how that's going to show up in the charts. And it could just be, we both kind of said yesterday we were watching the move up, and if you've been watching the move since earnings, it's just been this slow grinding up move. There's there's nothing in there that would say, hey, I'm really confident about this. It just kind of drifts. It's just drifting upwards. So it's like, are you going to catch people sleeping at the wheel, or are we going to shoot this thing to new highs and have this huge, I don't know, for all we know, Monday Evergrande goes, surprise, we forgot we left this money under the pillow, and here's all the money that we needed back, and 65 million people are going to move into these vacant homes in the ghost cities. Okay, problem solved. So
yeah. I mean, what you're saying is the storms are still out there, right? They're not gone. So the only thing we're saying is, okay, we thought, take the New Orleans storm that just hit, right? Like they were tracking it the whole way, saying, if it turns, it's not going to hit New Orleans, right? Unfortunately, New Orleans did get hit, so maybe it's a bad example. But what we are saying is, the storms are still there, have not hit land. So we're just going to track them, watch them, and keep reporting back on it.
Yeah, that's about. I'm trying to think if there's anything else new. I don't really think. Do you have anything on your news feeds that have come up in the past? I didn't check this morning. I was a little bit lazy on the.
Just same stuff. Evergrande payments, China energy crisis, that kind of thing. It just hasn't. The storm's over there right now, and I think the U.S. markets are showing they just don't care. At some point that might change.
The other thing from a real estate perspective, Okay, here. Okay, so here's the top line from Business Insider. Uber Freight Boss says we're living in shipping Armageddon, and it's going to take the entire industry to fix it. Okay, so they're going to really start to try to move towards supply chain. So something else I'm thinking about is like the housing market. So I'm definitely seeing when you're pulling comps, like, are you not just seeing? I'm seeing a whole lot more actives than ever before. Like it used to just be when you open up comps and you have a bunch of
define ever before here.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, in the past like 2 years,
Okay.
it used to be like a sea of red with a couple of greens. Now it's like a pretty good mix, a pretty good balance. I could see 5 reds, 5 greens pretty easily when I'm looking, and like two pendings.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of real estate, which is interesting for me to say, is to not say the same about the market, but it feels like we found a top. It certainly does. At least over the last 2 months, right? I think it's very safe to say that upward spike that we saw, probably from March maybe all the way through August. I mean, ginormous, just upward spike has at least leveled. I think we can at least safely say that. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean could we hit another giant upward spike? I guess I don't know why we would, but we could. And could we also go down? But the point is that huge escalating price thing seems to have leveled out. So I mean, the mortgage rates went up. So those are going up.
Right up. I don't think they went up yet, but I think they're going up.
I mean, I guess it's hard to say because sources are all different here. But I just saw a lender. We get all their information that. Actually, I wish I saved this. It actually probably would have been really relevant for this because if you looked at the mortgage rates when COVID hit, there was a quick spike up, right? And then it went back down. And then if you follow the chart, it just hit the COVID level spike in terms of increase. It's there right now.
I see.
Which is actually pretty significant. I really do wish I saved that.
Yeah, that would have been a good one to have.
Yeah. So that means banks are doing something right now, right? Whether or not they keep it. And what was also mind-boggling to me is how fast the rates were going up and down because it went up and we're back down like within 2 months time frame over the course of a year. So is the same thing about to happen? Did it just go up and come back down? I think that's what we're calling out here. That volatility is very significant. And COVID, it went right back to normal and we were totally good. That nothing seems to indicate that it's going to just do that right now. So,
well, interesting. The first headline we've seen here: China finally breaks. This is from Zero Hedge. China finally breaks comments on Evergrande. Says the risks are controllable and should not spread. That doesn't really. Additionally, the central banks ask lenders to keep credit to the real estate sector stable and orderly. So they're asking people to. They're not giving any reason why it won't spread. They're just saying it won't spread. In recent years, the company failed to manage its business well and prudently amid changes in the market conditions, says Zhao. It blindly expanded into. So they're trying to bring. So China is telling them to bring in. So they went into the sports drink business, wealth management business, all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to tell them to bring all that in and stop that. I don't really see that this is a solution or anything more than. But this feels like the kind of thing where you bring this quote up after something happens and you're like, remember when they said this 2 weeks before that happened?
That we were fine. Yeah. I think the significant date for Evergrande is the 23rd, I believe. Because I think that's I think that's the 30-day mark and every
the default mark or the official
It's official. It's official, exactly.
Well, they were in default, but they have 30 days to remedy, I think, because they're in default. I don't really know what happens in step 2, but
right.
I guess so. Yeah, I still think so this coming Monday. So Monday is the holiday, Mark Weiser's holiday, 18th, 19th, right? So that's the Black Monday holiday, essentially. Holiday, I say holiday, Remembrance. I don't know what the hell to call it. The anniversary. So, and then the following Monday is going to be really, the big day to look at. But anyways, as far as the charts go right now, the bulls are defying the bear move. and it's happening. That's happening. So like if I was betting on this, I would be now looking at this saying I would be pretty conservatively thinking about reversing my position, but I still would, to declare the victory, that line in the sand here needs to be I need to close over this bar, which it looks like you could very easily do today. And then a pullback would be natural down to here. Now, if we have one of those huge 1,000-point bars, that's a different story, coming off this in either direction. That would be the ideal, right? You get one of those 1,000-point bars in either direction to go, okay, like we can just stop talking about this because or okay, 1,000-point bar, the whole thing was like the whole fake triangle breakout. Because, tactically, if you were to look back, if this were to rip down like that, you would then consider this whole move the head fake for the triangle, even though it's a pretty substantial move. Like the way this would like visually show back up, this would come back inside and you'd start running down, right? And you go, oh, that was just a head fake for this triangle. There's your breakout, and then you start doing this. But you would look back and say that was the reaction to the triangle. If that doesn't happen and you just go up, you kind of go, okay, well, the triangle failed. So I've always done pretty well at seeing both sides of the market. That's kind of like been my thing, just to say like when you're like what each side would be thinking. And that's really where it is.
So what's the next gen stat percentage of the Bulls winning here?
It is definitely in the favor of the Bulls right now.
Yeah.
Next gen stat is probably like 70%. I'll just throw it out.
I mean, every time they say 2% chance to win, they win. So I don't know if you've noticed that. Like
yeah. They're like 16% chance that he catches this ball that he's about to catch. Yeah.
So, all right, cool.
All right, sounds good. Well, Monday it is.
Monday
Look for news over the weekend as always.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, later.